Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unscripted. Today is March 24th, and we are coming to you a day after the Michigan State loss to one seed North Carolina. Johnny and I wanted to take a little bit of time to digest the end of the season. And yeah, I, Tar Heels took down the Spartans 85 to 69. It was a tough one for Spartan fans. Got off to a great start in the game. And then really it was just that backbreaking run by North Carolina, 26 to 5 run, to go up by 9 at halftime. Spartans, cut it to 2 early in the second half. Jaden Akins kind of got going a little bit there, hit a couple threes, had an and one to cut it to 2. But yeah, UNC was able to start knocking down some jumpers, hit their threes, and was able to pull away. Harrison Ingram was really the star of this one from what I remember. I mean, I know he only had 17 and Bacot had 18, Davis had 20, but Ingram 5 of 7 from the 3-point line. Hit a lot of big shots in big spots, I thought, for the Tar Heels. And yeah, North Carolina's moving on. So Johnny, I'll go to you now. What were your kind of some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, tough to lose, obviously. A disappointing year, probably, right? With all the high expectations going in. That game kind of turned out kind of like the way the season with up and downs, right? You start off, like you said, great start. You get up 12, and then that run to end the half was just, brutal. And it was really the good and the bad of this entire season in this game. And like you said, UNC they're a one seed for a reason, right? Great players, Davis, Bacot, and Ingram was definitely the difference going, 5 of 7 from three, right? Big shots. Izzo talked about after the game kind of their um just how they played defensively, right? And they kind of were not letting him shoot, right? But a little bit of hesitation, right? As he wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter, but obviously he killed us, and he was one of the big shots. And anytime, right, we made that run in the second half to try and close that gap, and they were able to blow that right back open. So just disappointing overall, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I thought there was something you said there that really resonated with me. Yesterday was pretty much a perfect encapsulation of this entire season. Um, maybe the only difference being that yesterday in this game, Michigan State got off to a good start, and this season they did not. But it really was a season of, they let some stuff slip away from them in the first half of the season. And, we're really just trying to make up for it the rest of the way. And, they got close at times. I remember after the Penn State and Michigan road wins, we were feeling pretty good coming back home, having Iowa and Ohio State coming up, and I think there was one other game that I'm blanking on. And yeah, then they lose both of those games and everything kind of goes down into the gutter again. But yeah, North Carolina, you're gonna have to play a perfect game almost to win. Maybe not perfect, but the Spartans were gonna have to play a much better game than they did. They really would have had to keep that same pace and energy that they were, the offensive output, the pace that they were getting the first, 10 minutes or so. They really couldn't allow themselves to step off of that pace, and they did, and that's all right. So I guess if we want to get a little bit more into the game, Tyson Walker, I think we should start with him. Just an amazing career at Michigan State. He finished with 24, 9 of 16 shooting. Tyson was hitting a lot of big shots, doing his thing, and I think it's really a tough way for him to go out. There's a lot of pictures I saw on Twitter after the game and this morning of Tyson crying after the game and kind of really beat like the one thing that stood out to me from those pictures was there's pictures of, Tyson. They're all him by himself. And I think that kind of I could be looking into it a little bit too much, but I do kind of think that is a good representation of this team as well, where it really and I it really kind of felt like it was just Tyson Walker all year. I think we were both big fans of Malik Hall, and he was great at points throughout this season. But it did kind of feel like this team had just the alpha dog energy kind of type team where this team was just going to go as far as Tyson could try and take him. And man, he did everything he could, everything he could. Um, So I definitely feel very bad for Tyson Walker, and I feel for him after this one. And I should probably throw Malik Hall in there too. I do feel bad for Malik, with he and Tyson's careers fully over. Obviously, there's the other two seniors that we'll get into. So if you want to talk about them, I'll lay it up right to you.
No, I thought I'd just chime in on Tyson, right? It's tough to see him go out like that. Everything you said about him is true. Truly, one of the best players I've been able to watch right now that we're going through the college years, right? He was really our guy these 3 years. And just special with the ball in his hands, right? Finishing at the rim. It's really sad to see him go out like that. And you saw the emotion, right? You said about the pictures and after the game, listening to his presser, you could just tell it was never easy to just, your career ends just like that. It's college. So hopefully we'll be rooting for him wherever that next step in his career is. But yeah, just for him and Malik to uh, go out like that, it's hard, right? No one wants to ever lose. But they really both gave it their everything they had yesterday. And I think all Spartan fans were really grateful for what they did the past for Tyson 3 years and Malik 5 years.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's kind of crazy when you put it into perspective. Uh, Ma Malik Hall's first game that I really remember him playing, I was a senior in high school at a high school ski meet, and I watched Malik Hall drop 15 in the second half against Seton Hall and take down Marcus Powell or Miles Powell and Seton Hall, and yeah, it's just 5 years. That's crazy.
yeah, and that's it's great to have those guys and then they stick around and you really build that not obviously no personal connection, but you feel like you have it because we love this team and you love the guys on it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough pill to swallow, next year not having them and seeing them around. But I guess you want to go into the other seniors, right? It's going to be interesting off season, I think. Obviously, um, it's with Madi, right, and AJ having that 5th year eligibility, where we go from there. I think we've talked about it before a little bit. Um, what we think, right? Izzo said something in the presser that was a little interesting. He said a lot of things that were interesting, but I guess my take on it is AJ. I think it's been for a while though. I didn't think AJ was going to come back for his 5th year. For us, I would think it would works best for both parties. For him, and I think he should take that 5th year and go somewhere else, and hopefully he can succeed wherever that is. And then for Madi, it's really tough. Obviously an excellent story, excellent person, and I think it's really going to come down to Izzo and where he wants to really take this team next year to the next level. So I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the quote after the game. Izzo said he's going to make a deeper run in this tourney or he's going to die trying. Well, he's got a big off season to get kind of show us if he's really going to die trying because I fully in my heart believe you can't say you're going to die trying to get this team in a deeper run if AJ and Madi are on the team next year. I say that I want to be respectful. You know, I do root for these guys. I don't know them personally. I assume they're good people. I obviously don't want anything negative to happen to them. I want for them to have success. I just don't see a world in which they have any success here at Michigan State. I just don't. Yeah, I agree exactly 100% with what you said. I think especially for AJ, it's best if it's just, I think that one's a lot more cut and dry. Um, I think it really is time for both people to move on or sides. And I agree with you in the same way that I think AJ should, take that 5th year and should transfer somewhere else because I do think he has a lot of potential. And I just think it might have to take someone else other than Tom Izzo to get that potential out of him, maybe. Um, and yeah, Marty's definitely a trickier one, but if you if you keep it to play on the court, like because that's what's hard with Marty, right? Because he is such a great story, and all Spartan fans do love Marty Sissoko for sure. The person, like I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Marty's anything other than maybe his ability on the court. And I just think that there wasn't enough from the center position this year for Izzo to kind of look back at it and be like, yeah, Booker, let's get him back. Kohler, he'll be back. Cooper, he'll be back, and let's just bring Marty back too. That's just not doing anything. Like that, you can't say that you're gonna die trying, and bring back the same four big guys. With that being said, I am very happy to see the quote from Xavier Booker last night after the game saying that he'll definitely be back. Um, I hope that he's being genuine. Again, kind of like we've been alluding to, we don't know these people personally. Um, you'd obviously like to believe him, and I'm gonna choose to believe him until, something else were to happen possibly. But, I tweeted last night, I think Booker really with a whole another summer, you know, working I think he just needs a little bit more muscle, 10 to 15 pounds if he can gain that, which is a lot. That's a lot to ask of someone. Um, but if he can do that and continue to develop on his defensive game is really what he has to focus on. I thought he got burnt a good bit yesterday afternoon and was a pretty glaring weakness defensively. But yeah, I just, I think Booker will definitely kind of come into his own next year, and maybe blossom into that top 10 recruit that people expected him to be. But, kind of going back to the whole off-season outlook, I'm personally very excited for the keys of this franchise, or not franchise, keys of this program to be turned over to Fears and Booker and Trey Holloman. And I'm hoping that Jaden Akins is back next year. We could talk about him a little bit. Didn't have his best game yesterday. Like I said earlier, he had a good start to the second half, but I think it's going to be very, very important to see what he does. And then the transfer portal, Izzo, we've been saying it all year that Izzo should have gone to the transfer portal last summer. Now he doesn't really have much of a choice in my mind, but I'll let you go give some thoughts on the whole situation and the whole off-season outlook and what you hope for or
Yeah.
whatever. What you expect, what you hope for, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I think since, the end of the game or even before that, I think we've all talked about with each other and then I was talking to my friends last night and then this morning, just what do we expect going forward? And I think you covered a lot of it, right? The first decision is AJ and Marty, right, doing their fifth year. And I think, like we said, we expect AJ to move on. And for Marty, again, you said it perfectly. Before, as a guy and as a teammate, right? Everyone loves him, but the performance hasn't been there. And for me personally, I think we need a definite five, right, in the portal. And I also think we need a wing. And then I think when you bring in a center right now, that room would be pretty big if no one left. So that's my only like concern there, I guess, right? You bring in a five and then you still have, if Marty were to come back, that's four centers and you're not even counting Booker.
No.
So that won't
No,
cut
that
it.
just
So
won't happen.
that's why unless that's where that conversation is going to really
Get tough.
boil down, yeah, for Izzo. And then looking at the rest of the roster, it's obviously be a younger team. Um, like you said, hopefully, I don't expect anyone to hit the portal of the undergrads. I would expect Akins to come back, and he's still got a lot of work to do, and he can come back and be, piece number one or two, barring a huge transfer piece. Um, but yeah, I think what I've been talking about is, handing over the keys to Furious is going to be, I am super excited for his future here. We've loved talking about him early in the year. And I just think you have to go and get a big one and then at least a three, a wing, right? That can definitely, versatile on both sides, three and D. I just look at you just look at what Purdue added in Lance Jones and Illinois and Damask. And I used an example earlier today, like Jalen Bridges was Baylor. Like just having a guy like a wing that could really spread the floor and just, I don't know. It's tough. And otherwise, pieces like Booker, like you said, he's going to get better. Super excited for his future, getting stronger, right? Getting a little better defensively. The improvement of Cohen Carr and what could we get for Norman, and just the rest of the guys coming in, the freshmen, right? Excited about some of them. So yeah, again, Izzo spoke on it, right? Saying how he wants to make a deeper run, and he's said how he doesn't love kind of where basketball is right now, college basketball, but he knows he has to adjust to it because the past 4 years haven't been what Michigan State is standard for, so I do expect him to hit the portal. We'll see. It should pick up pretty quickly, right? With it, it's been open already. People are already choosing schools. So I'm just looking forward to hopefully seeing Michigan State pop up on at least a couple of lists within the next couple of days, just to know that they're making that a priority.
Yeah, that's definitely something big what you hit on at the end there. I want to see them at least making an effort. That I think that'll make fans feel a lot better for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was gonna go back into the game for a little bit. Hogard was terrible. He was so bad. Like it wasn't like his normal bad. It was like he's missing open layups. He's just being lazy. It's okay. I can't. But yeah, I also thought Izzo took too long to take a timeout during the big UNC run. I thought that was kind of something that is not usually something we see from Izzo. I feel like he's one of the best in-game coaches that we have, obviously, with all the experience that he has. And I just thought he waited way too long. But I don't know. What did you think about that? I just kind of wanted to get a little bit back into the game. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
The
no.
vibes are not as good as they were on Thursday or Friday. Thursday, that's for sure. As you can see, I'm not wearing my Tom Izzo suit and Ray-Bans. I'm in my comfy cozies because today is sad day.
Today is sad day. And you're right, AJ, there was definitely a lot of on criticism on Twitter. Some I think warranted, like you said, and some I maybe not. But yeah, I mean, 1 of 10 from the field is definitely not even close to cutting it. And like you said, I think if I saw the shot chart right, 5 or 6 of them were around the rim, like right at the rim, and he got blocked a couple of times from Bacon and then missing a layup is just not going to cut it. And I think I've said throughout the year when he's not locked in on either side, if he's not locked in on one, he's not locked in on the other, and it just ends up showing. So, and yeah, it's tough to see. And then obviously that run was disappointing, right? No, definitely took a while for that timeout. And, for me, at the end of that half, we went away from what was working in that first half. Like that first 12, 10 minutes, um, it was, Tyson getting good looks and it was Malik in the paint, right? He was getting what he wanted. And then I think that last 6 minutes, I would have to go back and watch it, but I'm not sure Tyson took a shot. I'm not sure Malik seemed to be straying from the paint. Like we weren't going inside to him. They weren't doubling him yet. They weren't. So I just thought when we went back in the second half, he succeeded again with it. We just kind of went away from what was working and then resulted to what we've seen throughout the year in the stagnant offense and the late shot clock and just bad shots that are going to leave the points to them on the other end.
100%. I wrote that down. I was yelling at my TV. Malik Hall was eating Ingram's lunch every post possession early in the game. And then he just stopped posting up and they stopped looking to get it to him down there. And like you said, they weren't doubling him. And Malik, Harrison Ingram played great offensively, but he had this, freshman playing in a big game. I felt he is a freshman, right?
I think he transferred from
Is he a
Stanford.
transfer?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a junior. Okay. Well, he seemed a little excited for me. And, he and Malik were kind of banging bodies, and Malik would then spin on him, make a quick little move, and he'd have him beat every time. Because it seemed like Ingram was a little jumpy maybe, but obviously that didn't deter him from playing great. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a big off season. I don't know. My mind keeps going back and forth between the game and the off season and what we should talk about. Um, I thought Trey wasn't great yesterday. I thought that was big with having Hogard not be on. We really needed Trey to play well. And again, that's where not having Fears is really troubling, honestly. I don't really know how else to say it. It would have been a great time. I just want to you want him to keep getting that tournament experience, obviously, for when he's older. But I also just felt like it would have been a perfect time for him there during that run to come in and kind of be a leader as a young voice and kind of maybe be a reason why Michigan State can get out of this funk that they're in. But that's that it didn't happen, but because obviously he got there's the whole situation. But I thought we definitely missed Fears a lot yesterday, and yeah, I think they stopped going away from what works, exactly what you said.
Yeah, and you're right. It was with AJ not playing well, right? We hope, right, in times that Trey has stepped into that role and played really well this year, and then other times uh, it hasn't been as maybe great as he wants, right? He's an excellent athlete, excellent defender. He's improved tremendously on his offensive game, but it's still not all there yet, and I mean, it's all right, I guess. Like it's tough, like to what you want from him, right? And it didn't show up yesterday, but obviously a bright future for him here, still 2 more years. I still think like if I don't know if you had to pick hard to pick a starting like just looking forward, that's what I keep looking at. It's like what's the starting lineup look like next year? I know it's fairly early, but for me, it's gotta be I think a really interesting lineup could be Fears one, Akins two. I would love a three transfer, like I said, and Booker at the four, and then a big at the five, and then having Trey be the perfect and six man, like a really good six man, where it's just because he's can still play 30 minutes a game coming off the bench. That's just kind of how at this point I'm looking at it. Obviously I have just put two pieces in there with no names. So obviously if I'm looking at the roster right now, obviously Trey would be in there. But again, it's all going to come down to, like we've continue saying, the transfer portal and just the progression of our guys because they're all talented. As we'll keep saying that. What can we get from Cohen Carr going forward? Can he develop that shot? He has to get a lot better defensively. I think we've all seen that. Greg Norman, what can the freshmen do? It's just, it's going to be a big offseason for everybody, Izzo, the guys. And yeah, that's just kind of how I see it right now.
Yeah, I guess in terms of a starting five for an outlook for next year, and again, like you said, very early. I definitely want to see Fears at the start, starting at the point guard. Um, I do like the idea of Akins playing more of a two, but obviously that's so dependent on if they could get a wing in the transfer, or even, maybe 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 Garrick Norman's just ready. I don't know.
Yeah, or a
Um,
car or
yeah,
like,
or
that's what I'm
Carr.
saying.
It,
Like
like
it's all gonna really
it's gonna take
depend.
some stuff though, because obviously Norman redshirting, he and Izzo, or whatever, decide whoever, they didn't feel that he was ready this year, and then obviously we need Carr to develop a jump shot because he just is not. He kind of just doesn't really offer much game in a half court offense. It's got to be transition for him, which is great. He's a great athlete and Spartan fans love watching his highlights, but I agree he definitely needs to develop a shot. And then Booker down low. And yeah, I think like you said, they got to go to the portal and get another big. Um, if not, I like Kohler. I think I think he was kind of. Obviously, he had the injury to start the year, came back in late December, early January. Was his first game the Indiana State game? Me, I
It was
not.
definitely right around
Yeah,
there.
it was like around Christmas break, start of the new year. Um, so I definitely think with another off season for Kohler to continue to develop, I could see him maybe becoming that starting five. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else. I feel like we're kind of just walking in circles at this point.
Yeah, again, it's just tough because no one ever wants to see the end. And, from us and all the fans, right, watching every game, we all had the high expectations going into the year, and so did the players, and so did Izzo. He said it. I just, listened to the presser before this, and he said, we underachieved this year. He said that blatantly. He said it throughout the year, but like, I just think I'm going to choose to believe Izzo. Again, I think we both are in terms that he knows this isn't the standard of Michigan State. It's not the standard he's used to, standard the fans are used to, and that he is going to whatever that is. If it's the portal, hopefully at least portal,
At
and
least a
just
little
getting
bit. At least. At
and
least.
just yeah, it's just finding a way, right? Finding a way to get back to what Michigan State is used to. And so, like I said, portal's been open. I
Nate Oates already
expect
got one guy.
that was crazy to
Shocker.
see. Choosing, picking guys, and they haven't even played a tournament game yet, which was pretty fun. But that's just how that's the state of college basketball right
Well, and
now.
if I could
So
interject real quick, there was also the quote yesterday from Bill Self. He said, "I've been thinking about next season since a month ago," which, I don't ever want Tom Izzo to be thinking about the next season while the current season is still going on. I thought that was a bit of an interesting choice of words from Bill Self, kind of throwing his team under the bus. Um, a team that was preseason ranked number one. But yeah, I mean, you can keep going. I just want to throw that out there.
Yes.
Like the portal, it starts now. It already started.
Yeah, and just I said it earlier again. I hope to see. I think things are going to develop in the next week or two, and whether it could be ingoing, outgoings, right? We could see some outgoings like we've talked about, and hopefully to see our name pop up on a couple lists, and the portal is going to continue to get bigger and bigger, and there's going to be guys from every team in the country, so it's going to be it gets crazier every year, so that's all I could hope for. So yeah.
I know this is a Michigan State podcast, but I saw this on Twitter and I just thought it was kind of crazy. Um, so Juwan Howard was fired and Michigan hired Dusty May last night. Just think of an alternate universe where admissions doesn't get in the way and Terrence Shannon and Caleb Love are on Michigan this year. Just kind of crazy to think about. I don't know. I saw that and I was from a Michigan account and it was like, are we sure that this was the right move letting Howard go? And we'll see. Obviously they had a pretty tough year. Um, as Doug McDaniel already hit the portal. I think someone else did too, but I'm
Yeah, their
blanking.
roster is pretty depleted at this
Yeah,
moment. But that,
but
again,
that happens when, coaching turnover. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting to think about. It's like, wow, like Caleb Love and Terrence Shannon are the best. Well, I don't know about Caleb Love being the best player on Arizona. He's definitely one of. But I mean, both those teams are already clinched their spots in the Sweet 16. So it's just a little tidbit, interesting nugget of thought that I got from Twitter this morning that it just kind of popped in my head. I don't know. I think I just interesting thought bubble there. But
no, definitely. I think I've talked about that too. It's just sometimes it's just how how the cards fold, and that's what Michigan does. And I guess the hiring Dusty May last night. I guess we'll see what they got in store.
yeah. But yeah, I think with that we're gonna wrap this up. Um, yeah, I think, thanks everyone for listening. We're gonna go watch the rest of the slate today and watch some teams clinch their spot in the second weekend. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Go follow us on Twitter. Go subscribe to Field of 68. Have a good